this on separate pages. That's why you've heard me say draw a line across your paper. When I say draw a line across your paper, I'm basically saying, now that's the end of that part. Now we'll do the next part. So you should just use the front and back, okay? So when I say draw a line across your paper, I want you to draw a line. All right, colored pens up. Calculators should be out already. Colored pens should be out already. Remember, you need them every day for my class. So your pencil's down, your colored pen is up. Now we're going to grade our own work. I put a challenging question first. I did not necessarily expect you to be able to get the right answer, but I did expect you to try to think through it. And we're going to, at the end of today's class, explore this question in more detail. So number one, let's see who did get it. What did we get as the answer for number one? We'll start with Aaron. Amaya, that's what, okay. Aaron, Amaya, and then Christian. Aaron. 9 months. Okay. Everyone got 9 months? The correct answer is 9 months. It's the first class where I had the first 3 people I called on give me the right answer. That's actually never happened, so that's pretty impressive. Very good. So that was something that I didn't teach you yet. So don't stress yourself out if you didn't get number 1. I don't want you to worry about it. You're going to learn later on today. But the rest of today's warm-up, 2 through 7, I did teach and go over with you, so this is the stuff I am very concerned about. Number 2, what did we get when we evaluate that? We'll start with China, India, and then Deandra, right? Deandra? Go ahead. 2. So you guys agree? Negative 16. So we have a little bit of a disagreement. Brianna, what do you think?
I got 2.
You got 2. The correct answer is 2. Number 3, what did we get? We will start with Justin, Kiara, and then Ethan.
20.
So you both got 20?
20.
The correct answer is 20. Excuse me. Sure. I apologize. Number 4, what did we get? We will start with Brianna, then we will go to Christopher, and then Taylor.
27.
Everybody thinks it's 27? It's 27. Number 5, what did we get? We'll start with Yasmin, Alex, and then Benjamin. 45. 15. 45. So we have a slight disagreement. What do you think, Nicole?
45.
The correct answer is 45. Number 6. A little bit harder now. This time we'll start with Benjamin, then we'll go back to Chris, and then back to India.
15. 15. 65.
Okay, so we have a slight disagreement. Amaya, what do you think?
15.
15. The correct answer is 15. And what about number 7? What did we get? We'll start with China, Tristan, and then Janae.
6.
The correct answer is 6. So, there were 7 questions. However, I don't really want you to worry about whether or not you got number 1 wrong. So here's what we're going to do. Make a fraction bar out of 6. If you got number 1 correct, count it. If you got it wrong, you don't count it. So it's possible you could get 7 out of 6, which would mean you got over 100%. But I don't want to penalize anyone if you did not get number 1. So hopefully you got 5 out of 6 or higher, and then use your calculator to calculate your percent by doing top divided by bottom, which 5 out of 6 would be approximately 83%. So go ahead and calculate your percent. All right, now I'm going to open up the floor for questions. Questions on any of the warm-up ones except for number 1. We're not going to go over number 1 right now. We're going to do it at the end of class. We're going to come back to it. But anything else from 2 to 7? Any other questions from 2 to 7? Tristan and then DeAndre. Number 2 and DeAndre, what number? Number 2. Very good. So let's take a look at number 2. Could I have a volunteer tell us, out of all of these different operations, we've got subtraction, addition, an exponent, a subtraction, and an exponent. What must be done first? What must be done first? Christopher? What's inside parentheses must be done first. But now, look at this. Inside the parentheses, there's 2 operations. Which one do I have to do first inside the parentheses? Ethan?
7 minus 5.
Yeah, you have to do 7 minus 5 first. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So this whole thing becomes a 3 to the 3rd power, and then you minus 5 to the 2nd power. That's a 3, by the way, sorry. 3 to the 3rd power minus 5 to the 2nd power. Now what do you have to do? Aaron? 3 to the 3rd. So I use my hands to figure this out. 3 times 3 is 9 times 3, 27. I don't have any space underneath, so I'm going to finish writing it over here. 27 minus, and now I've got 5 squared. What's 5 squared come out to, Alex? 25. So I end up with 27 minus 25, which gives you the value of 2. So this definitely was very confusing to look at, but if you follow the rules, you can work through the confusion and be successful. Did you find your mistake? Very good. Any comments or questions on number 2 or anything else? Comments or questions? Okay. Today's topic is comparing and ordering integers. And what we're really doing is we're trying to build a foundation for you to be successful in pre-algebra and algebra. One of the most important foundation skills is being able to work with integers effortlessly. So today and this week and next week, we're going to be exploring different ways of working with integers. The idea is not just to learn it and say, I get it. The idea is to be at mastery level when working with this material. So first, let me make sure we're all on the same page as far as what we're talking about. Integers. Integers are positive and negative whole numbers. You've been working with positive whole numbers for years now. You were probably introduced to negative whole numbers last year. So we're going to continue that exploration this year. So, to help visualize, we use a number line to help us visualize. So this is what a number line, a basic number line looks like with positive and negative integers. So you'll notice that we have positive integers to the right of 0, negative integers to the left of 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative. So let me change the perspective for a second, just so you can realize what you've been working with most of your middle school, well, your late elementary, middle school. You've been working with this. You've been working with this side of the number line for quite a while now. So what I'm saying is, now we're going to introduce this part of the number line. Negative numbers. Does anyone have any questions just about the basics, about where the numbers are on the number line? So we're talking about numbers to the left of 0. Here is the other major idea with this number line. The further you go to the left, the smaller the number will get. The further you go to the right, the larger the number will get. That's the hard part for a lot of young people. And we're going to talk about this today, but a lot of people don't understand that -5 is smaller than -2. Most people see +5 is bigger than 2, so how come -5 is not bigger than -2? Well, it's being illustrated right here. The further you go to the left, the smaller the number. The -5 is to the left of -2. That means it is smaller. And we're going to explore this more in a few minutes. Okay? 2 other major concepts of the day. We're going to talk about the concept of absolute value. Absolute value is a way of expressing distance. This is a distance. Absolute value is distance. And Christian, what we're really talking about is the distance of a number from 0. The absolute value will be written with a symbol, 2 vertical lines, like this, with a number in between, like this. And the way you read that is the absolute value of -3. Another way to read it is the distance of -3 from 0. You got all that done? Okay, so again, on a number line, and you don't have to draw the whole thing, you can just draw up to about 5 in each direction. But we want to be able to illustrate the idea of a distance. So let's look at -3. So what I'm saying is, what is the absolute value of -3? It's the distance of this number from 0. So let's see how far it is from 0. It's 1, 2, 3 steps from 0. Let me do that again. 1, 2, 3 steps from 0. So the absolute value is 3. The distance is 3. What about the absolute value of +3? Well, here's +3. What is its distance from 0? 1, 2, 3. Its distance is 3. So the absolute value of +3 is 3, and the absolute value of -3 is 3, because they are the same distance from 0. So let me clarify distance. You are in the car with your family driving up to the Disney World area in Orlando. And you're driving and you're getting closer and closer, and you see these big signs that tell you how many miles you are away from Orlando. You're getting very excited. Would you ever see a sign that said -30 miles till Orlando?
No.
You would never see a sign that said -30 miles till Disney World. It doesn't make any sense because you don't have negative distance. There's no such thing. So you get to Disney World, you have a great time, and your family member, whoever drove, your father, mother, brother, guardian, cousin, whoever drove, says to you, we're going to go home tomorrow. It's going to be a long drive. We've got -300 miles to go. They would never say that. Because you don't go negative. You turn around and you go back. but you just go positive distance. There's no such thing as negative distance. So an absolute value will never be negative. Absolute value will always be positive. Any questions about that? Good. The last major concept is the concept of an opposite. Some students get the absolute value and the opposite confused, so I'm going to try and make sure we work that out today. The opposite is the same distance but opposite sign, or the different sign. So, the number 6. The opposite of 6 is negative 6. Same distance, opposite sign. Can I have a volunteer give us another positive whole number? Any positive whole number? Good, Yasmin? 8, wonderful. So if I have the number 8, what is the opposite of 8? What's the opposite? Justin? Negative 8. Very good. Could I have a negative whole number, please? Any negative whole number? Christian?
Negative 500.
Negative 500. Very good. What is the opposite of negative 500? What's the opposite of it? Aaron? 500. So it's the same number, opposite sign. So an opposite can be negative, because here's an opposite that's negative, here's an opposite that's negative, here's an opposite that's positive. Absolute value will always be positive. Okay? Comments, questions? So now we're going to utilize these concepts within some expressions and simplifying things. So follow along with me. Some of this is going to go quickly. Example 1. What is the absolute value of negative 5? This is a very simple question. We're just trying to build our understanding and our skill. What is the absolute value of negative 5? I only have 2 people who know. Okay, that's okay. DeAndre? Very good. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5. I love the way she said positive, though. That really makes it clear. So the absolute value of negative 5 is 5. That's it. So we change the expression to its actual value. So now how can we use this in solving problems or simplifying expressions? What if we have an expression like this? You must change the absolute values to their actual values before you can do any operations. Wow, that was a lot of fancy words I used. You have to change these to their actual distances, then you can do the subtraction. So let's start with the absolute value of negative 4. What is it? The absolute value of negative 4, Janae? Is 4. So underneath the original question, we're going to write its actual value. And then Brianna, what's the absolute value of negative 3? 3. So underneath, we're going to write its actual value, and now we can subtract, and of course we can easily do that, which is 1. So this expression has a value of 1. Does anyone have any questions on how we use the absolute value?
I don't have a question on that, but can you put this under notes or under class?
This is still notes. This is still the same section. We haven't changed at all. I will tell you to draw a line across your paper when it's time to switch. Okay? Good. Any other questions? All right. Checkpoint number 1. You have 2 questions. You got a minute and a half.
Flesh should you?
Well, what is that symbol? Absolute value. All right, part A, what do we get? What's the value? Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 confident. We got 12 confident people. Taylor, then Chris. 12. That is the correct value. The value is 12. Excellent job. And what about part B? What is the value of that one? We'll start with China and then Amaya.
12. Negative 12?
Okay, so we have a disagreement. Nicole, what do you think? It is 12. And therein, Amaya was kind enough to point out the confusing part about absolute value and opposite. This symbol is absolute value. Absolute value is always positive. So anytime you see this symbol, you're always going to end up with a positive. Opposite means give me the same number with the opposite sign. Okay, there's no symbol for it. Are there any questions on either of these? Give me a thumbs up if you got both of them correct. Remember, I'm only counting you if I see your thumb up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. About half the class. Good. So I'll hope for a higher level of success on the next one, but that's pretty good so far. So now let's talk about opposites. So example 2. Example 2, now we want to be able to state the opposite. So that's something that you just have to be able to do. For you guys, being advanced math students, this should actually be pretty easy. So we have the number 60. Notice that there's no symbol. There are no lines here and here. So that's just a number, but I'm asking you to state the opposite. So what's the opposite of 60? What's the opposite of 60? Justin? It is negative 60. So the opposite can be negative. What about negative 15? What's the opposite of negative 15? Benjamin? 15. It is positive 15. Or you can just write 15. You don't have to write the positive symbol. So that's the basics of opposites. But now let's utilize it in algebraic expressions. So now, evaluate each expression when y equals negative 5. And look at part C. Negative y. But within the notes, I actually wrote that when you see a negative symbol next to a letter, that actually can be read the opposite of y. So if y is negative 5, what is the opposite of y? Deandra? 5. So we actually know the answer to that. It's already 5. But let's write it out so that we can see what it looks like when you actually substitute. So we have the opposite, that's this, parentheses, then we put in the negative 5. And so that's the opposite of negative 5. Give me a thumbs up if you had Miss Cooper last year. Thumbs up if you had Miss Cooper. Good, put your thumb down. Miss Cooper taught you a saying and something to do when you saw this situation. Anyone remember the saying and what to do? Ethan?
All I remember is that she told us when there's like two negatives, one in the parentheses and one outside, to add a line and it looks like a positive sign.
Yeah.
Change the sign.
Add a line or connect the line, or add a line, change the sign. So you connect this and it becomes a plus symbol. And so when you have an opposite of a negative, really that means positive 5. So this really is a value of 5. This explains why. Comments or questions on part C? Justin? Okay. Well, if you think of the word opposite, this really says opposite. So if I wrote it as a word, opposite, and this is really this. So if I put this in place of that, I'm really saying this. What's the opposite of negative 5? 5. Okay? It's going to take some getting used to, but that's the basics, okay? Very good. So now let's look at part D. And so we have this expression and we have the value to plug in. So we must rewrite it. This is an absolute value symbol with a negative 5. Now the absolute value symbol is not a grouping symbol. So you cannot treat it the way we treated this. You have to change the absolute value to its distance. So we have to take this and translate it. What is the absolute value of negative 5? India? 5. So we write its value underneath, bring down what we haven't used yet, 17 minus 5, we get the value of 12. Does anyone have any questions on how we did that? Okay, checkpoint number 2. Let's see how you do on your own with a couple of challenging ones. You got 2 questions, you got a minute and a half. All right, so let's see how we did. Hopefully we have a higher rate of success this time than before. What do we get for part A? We got some more confidence. Kiara, and then we'll go to Janae. 4. You guys agree that the correct answer is 4. Very good. What about part B? We got Najee and then Dalia. That is correct. It is 13. Very good. So let's see our rate of success this time. Give me a thumbs up if you got both right on that checkpoint. Good. Much higher rate of success. Excellent job. Put your thumbs down. So we have one last goal, and that's to really understand how integers work in relation to each other. So we're going to be doing some number lines here. Again, I have a computer to make a perfect line. You don't. So just use the lines on your paper and do your best. It shouldn't be a big squiggle. I shouldn't see this on your paper. That's not a number line. But you can make an effort to draw a semi-straight line and try to have some accuracy. So, here's the question. We have a -9 and a -5, and we have a space in between. We're going to put one of these symbols. We're going to use this symbol or this one, which is actually the same symbol, just flipped around. So give me a thumbs up if you were taught the alligator technique. Thumbs up if you were taught the alligator technique. You're still not used to the thumbs up system?
Oh.
Good, put your thumbs down. So I'm going to stick with the alligator technique so I don't confuse anybody. The alligator eats up the bigger number. So we're looking for the bigger number. But a lot of students get confused between how negative numbers work and positive. So to make sure we understand, we put them on a number line, you will be able to clearly see. So everyone has a number line, and we're going to label it a little bit. I need space for negative numbers, so I'm going to put the 0 further to the right. That means that's a 1, and that's a 2, that's a 3, and that's a 4. That's a -1, that's a -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. So now I'm going to put both of those numbers on the number line. So the -5 is right here, and the -9 is right here. And now you can easily tell which one's bigger. The number that's further to the right is the bigger number. So could someone tell us which number is further to the right? Which one's further to the right? Only one, two people. Oh, a whole bunch of people. Tristan. -5 is further to the right. That's a bigger number, which means the alligator is going to eat up the -5. And so we will draw the alligator's mouth going that way. Does anyone have any questions on how we did that? Okay, in the interest of time, I'm actually going to skip over part B and I'm going to skip down to part C so we can see a more complex version of the same idea. So let me just grab one of my number lines. And again, we're skipping part B, so don't... Hello, what happened? We're skipping part B, so don't worry about it. But now look at part C. Order these numbers from least to greatest. So now we actually have to order them. Now, these numbers, the digits are too big to fit on a regular number line, so now we need to customize the number line. Anyone have any suggestions? What could we do with the number line so that I could actually fit these types of numbers? Amaya? Oh, well, you had your hand up, so I was indicating that you had an idea. Christopher? You mean, what's that called? I'll help you. It's called a break. Yeah, but you can only do that on a graph, not on a number line. So we need to do the other thing that you're allowed to do. Justin?
Skip numbers.
Well, you can't just skip numbers, but you've got the basic idea. Okay, Tristan? Yeah, you change the interval, so we'll go by tens. So we have a lot of negative numbers, so let's put the 0, let's see, we'll put the 0 here, and make this 10, which means that would be 20, 30, 40, and now let's go to the left. That's -10, -20, -30, -40, -50, -60, -80. -100, -120, -140. Now I can fit everything. Now I need to put a dot everywhere to represent the numbers. So I have a +14. Well, here's 10 and here's 20. +14 is going to be somewhere in between. Then I've got the -67. Well, here's -60. Here's -70. -67 is going to be about there. I've got a negative 87. Well, there's a negative 80, negative 90, negative 87 is going to be about right there. And then I have a negative 129. Well, there's negative 120. There's negative 130. Negative 129 is going to be very close to that. And now you can easily see the order of the numbers. It says from least to greatest, so could someone help us? What's the smallest number out of this group? What's the smallest number? India? Yeah, the furthest one to the left is the smallest. What comes after that? Yasmin? Negative 87. What comes next? What comes next? Benjamin? Negative 67, and the only number left is the 14. And that is now in order from least to greatest. Does anyone have any questions on how we did that? Okay, so that was example 3. I have another checkpoint, but in the interest of time, I need to skip over it, so I'm just going to modify the lesson. We're not going to do this checkpoint, so we'll skip over it. And everyone listen carefully to what I'm saying, because some of you still don't understand that I'm telling you to do something now. Draw a line across your paper. Don't switch papers unless you ran out of space. Draw a line across your paper and write down classwork. In the textbook, you're going to do page 24, 8 through 15, 25, and then 53, you're going to do A, B, and C only. As soon as you finish, bless you, as soon as you finish copying down the assignment, take out the textbook and get started. And of course, I will be circulating to help out anyone with questions. Okay, colored pens up. Now we're back as a whole group. Here are the first 4 questions that everybody should have gotten all of them correct. Opposite, same number, opposite sign. Everybody should have gotten 8, 9, 10, and 11 correct. 12, 13, 14, 15, a little bit more challenging. You had to keep track of the information and know what to do with the absolute value symbol. Number 25, putting them in order from least to greatest. Negative 30, negative 25, negative 22, and negative 16. And then the question with 3 parts. The temperature, did it increase or decrease? It increased from Sunday to Monday. This is an increase in temperature. I'm surprised that nobody actually asked me to clarify. In the last class I taught, a lot of people asked me to clarify what increased temperature meant. It means getting warmer. This is getting warmer. If you didn't know, you should have asked. That's a language issue. That's not a math issue. Part B, did the temperature increase or decrease from Friday to Saturday? It decreased. This is a decrease in temperature. And part C,
Good afternoon, teachers.
the highest was Wednesday and the lowest was Saturday.
Please report to our office. Sonia Drummond, Imani Hernan, Malachi Smith-Ross.
Listen,
Harley Walker,
Draw a line across your paper.
Anthony Thurston, Andrea Zavaleta, Daniele Tilla.
Your homework. Page 25, 22 to 50 even, and 54, 56, 58, 72, 74, 76. Those are not extra questions. That's part of your assignment. You have a quiz on Wednesday. That will be 1.1 to 1.4.
Tryout will run until 6 p.m.